Welcome to today's not so critical update. We're going to be talking about an interesting and nuanced subject, which is ideal because Mike isn't here today and he just messes everything up. It just confuses the whole issue. It's all about it's difficult to say in the first 30 seconds of the it's about a guy who was convicted of a pretty terrible crime for running what's called a Tor exit node. Anyway, hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to today's Mikeless episode of the Not So Critical Update. So it's even less critical today. Although hopefully we're going to do a quick kind of shuffle around with some schedules and things, and because we want to bring you, the viewer, the best possible experience. By the way, before we start, I would like to say that we love. I've got to do this every time.
Every time.
All of our subscribers, and we're inching closer to 600. And for anybody who was at the half millennium mark party, you know how much of a big deal that we put on. So if you want to get invited, subscribe now. Hit the subscribe button, and yeah. Anyway, that's it. So we haven't got Mike this week or today, but he's coming back soon.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with me and John.
Sucks for you. Well, not really, because we're the best ones.
That's
but we
true,
do
actually.
miss Mike like extreme, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna do the AI roundup today, which is tomorrow.
No.
But that's coming.
Mike loves. Yeah,
We will
he really
do
wanted
it.
to be there for that.
He
He's
loves
one of
it.
his
Actually, he's the main
favorites.
proponent of this.
He was like, "Listen, guys, I can't make it today, but please, can you just
save this for me?
Yeah,
save it for me," he said. So that'll be coming soon. But we're gonna talk about a really pretty weird, terrible situation, but also there's some question marks. So this guy, I guess William, was found guilty of child porn because he ran a Tor exit node. This low-end box website, I guess, breaks down the story of this William Weber.
Yeah, just to explain what a Tor exit node is.
Yeah.
So Tor is a distributed, anonymized transfer protocol where it's kind of like a version of the internet where it's not possible to know where exactly something is being hosted. And it sort of works by putting fragments of, a bit like torrenting, I suppose, but it put fragments on different people's servers, and you don't know where it actually came from in the first place, and nobody holds the original copy. And then there's parts of the network which are called exit nodes, and those are the ones that sort of connect to the internet in general. So they're like how the whole thing works. So they are a lot of the traffic goes through them, and by some interpretations they are kind of hosting stuff, or
it's more like they're the ones hitting the stuff, right? Like visibly. Yeah. So if I understand it correctly, we have entry nodes, we have middle nodes, I think, or proxies, whatever you want to call it, and then exit nodes. And there's it's like a 7-step process. So you got, first step is you enter the Tor network. So an entry node. Then you swim around through a few middle nodes. So you're kind of like laundry matting the traffic. You're kind of cleaning the traffic, anonymizing the traffic, and then you exit to go to the site, wherever that site or service might be. So when you host an exit node, you're exposing your internet connection and that server that's hosting the exit node to God knows what kind of traffic. Anyone can use it on the Tor network. So like anyone, including people who are monsters who go and look at child pornography. And then when the authorities are like, let's say they are running some sort of honeypot, they're like, oh, well, you're the last person that went here, is what it says. But you didn't go there. A random person on the internet did. So it's a really messy scenario, which is why, a lot of the recommendations is you shouldn't host a Tor exit node. And if you are going
Yeah.
to, like, you should do it anonymously, not on your network or something that's tied to you.
Yeah.
And it's even funny in the comments when I saw this, I think on Reddit, and in the comments they were like, the Tor website, frequently asked questions has, in the event of a raid. So like,
Yeah.
it's like they have like a recommendation on what to do if you ever get raided by the police. So
Yeah.
not a great start. And that's not to say that Tor isn't good. Tor is amazing for like people who are living under a dictatorship, who are journalists or activists or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so the story is that this guy was hosting a Tor exit node, and then he was raided, and he was a, a, well, charged with distribution of child porn, and this was
Yeah.
in, I think he's in Australia, right? Um,
No, 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 no.
Austria,
It was like Austria or something. Yeah. It was like
Austria, sorry, not Australia.
Croatia, something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
right. So there's different levels of severity of
Yeah.
how you are involved in that kind of activity, and they tried to charge him with more serious like distribution,
Right.
but the sort of the lowest level is aiding in the distribution or
Right.
supporting distribution, which
Yeah.
is what he finally got convicted of. And
Even though like the judge and prosecutor and everyone were sitting there and they were like, we understand that this wasn't you, and we understand
yeah,
that you're not a like child whatever abuser, but it's the law and this is how the law works and we have to prosecute you. And so they gave him the lowest sentence. They gave him like some amount of months of probation, no
yeah,
jail time. I don't even know if he had to pay a fine. Like, it was like a very, very low, because they understood that like we're charging you based on archaic rules, but we cannot change the rules, so we will give you the least like impacted um sentence, impactful sentence.
it's a so this is a really tough question that it comes up again and again, which is when it's the kind of right to privacy and right to anonymity versus terrible things that people
Yeah.
do, and the balance that what different parts of the world interpret the rules in different ways, and they have different laws. So there's people on one side who are saying everybody has an absolute right to privacy and anonymity, and nothing that they do on the internet should ever be forced to be revealed to be them. And end-to-end encryption, the kind of civil rights movements is all about that. And then there's the other side, which is basically law enforcement and concerned people who are saying, well, we need backdoors into encryption because we need laws that severely punish deterrence to punish people doing things like running Tor exit nodes, who want the opposite basically.
Yeah.
And it's such a tough question.
And
Like it's
there is no middle ground, right? Like, because an argument that I could make as a privacy advocate is, as soon as people had safes, right, like a safe where you can store things, they stored illegal things in those safes. Some people would store illegal stuff in their safe. That
yeah.
is a fact. And are you going to ban safes? Right? Like,
Or
no, of course not.
are you going to give the government the combination to
Right.
every safe?
Exactly. And of course not. And I mean, the argument that I could see would be, well, the government can open a safe if they really wanted to. Sure, but like, they don't have the key. So are we going to give the key to these
Yeah,
digital safes to the government? Like, and I think that's the question you have to ask is, while there is a fraction or a small percent of abusers of a system, it does not mean that the system is bad or good. It's just a system, and
yeah,
it's something that helps you as an individual day to day. It really does. Like, look at HTTPS, right? Like, in the life changing, I mean, really just a digital evolution that was basically unnoticed, like, by majority of people. Um,
Yeah,
it's
it's
yeah.
no. Actually, talking about HTTPS, there's a thing coming up soon, which is the implementation of encrypted client hello, which is I think we talked about this once or twice before. Basically, when you request information from a web server, um, it used to be that your request and the response from the server was unencrypted. So anybody who had access to the network layer in between you and the server, they could see what was going on and potentially modify it, and you wouldn't be able to know. Then HTTPS came along and it kind of encrypted it, and it made everything kind of the data going backwards and forwards unable to be tampered with, and couldn't be. You knew that you were getting that. So communication with your bank was secure. But the part that wasn't was that the some of the headers that were sent, specifically the host header, which just is really just asking what server you want to get access from. So if you go into google.com/help/support/whatever, when you the part of the information that's sent to the server is I'm getting it from google.com. So that was never encrypted. So it was still like able to be monitored by governments or whatever. There's a thing called TLS 1.3 is coming with this encrypted client hello, which will encrypt that part of
Oh
the
wow.
transaction. Yeah, so there's a lot of debate at the moment, which is that a good or a bad thing? Because it might seem trivial at first, but it is a piece of metadata that is actually quite useful, and at scale it's definitely useful, and even in individual cases, because it can allow the government to know that you've been to an abortion website, for example, because lots of servers are hosted on lots of websites are hosted on the same server, so a lot of the time there's no proof that you're going to a specific site, but by having this data available, this one piece, which is just what server you're looking at, not even the whole URL, just the server, it's kind of opens up stuff. But then if that's not there, then a lot of monitoring is going to break. There's going to be this metadata obviously is going to die, and like China is not going to allow TLS 1.3
No.
connections. They're just going to. I mean,
Zero
this
chance.
isn't hypothetical. They won't. They've said
Yeah.
they're not going to.
Yeah, of course not.
So yeah, it's I don't know. I kind of agree with you, but I feel well. It came up again as well, also with Apple. It's like being forced to unlock your phone or decrypt
Yeah.
the thing on your phone. Apple refused to do this, right? They said no, they're not going to decrypt your phone, and the FBI ended up having to hack a phone using like a 0-day or something.
No, they hired NSO Group actually, which
Oh,
we've
that's
talked about a
right.
bunch.
Yes.
Yeah, and they paid they paid an estimated $1 million, which is nothing.
Wow.
$1 million to get the San Bernardino iPhone 5 unlocked. Yeah. And it was really big in the news because the FBI, it felt like they actually did this just for PR purposes. They went to Apple knowing that Apple was going to say no, because Apple always said no. This wasn't new. Apple had been saying no. And I think this, mixed with the fact that it was a terrorist act, kind of gave them the opportunity to like go to a private company and be like, here you go, unlock please. And they did.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's kind of an endless debate. You say there's no middle ground, right? But seriously, I think there is a middle grounds have been proposed. None of them are usually very practical.
No.
I mean, in the UK, they want to give the government a backdoor into end-to-end encrypted messaging, for example.
Right.
One of the other stories that I don't know, did we put it on the round?
I don't know if it's, but we might talk about the UK getting threatened by Apple that iMessage and FaceTime will be yoinked.
I mean, so in the UK, there's legislation. Well, legislation, is that what they call it here? I'm getting my US-isms and my Britishisms mixed up, man. Hanging around with you fucking Yanks is
you Americans.
Americans. Yeah. Anyway, so we've got some proposed law that is like, a government will have forced access, or is it client-side scanning? I don't know. It's something
I don't remember either.
terrible. Some invasion of privacy.
But back to the article, we kind of went on a
went on a
bit of a rant there. That was fun. So this William guy, this is kind of a saga for this guy. So yeah, he was, after years of back and forth, He eventually was charged, um, and the whole situation was really wonky. Like, he was picked up at work by government agents, basically the equivalent of FBI of Austria, because they like didn't have the right to enter his house without him or something. Like, it was really like weird. And then they entered the house, and they like searched everything, but they didn't search the bathroom. Like, it was really like messy, according to him. But they took all of his electronics, took a bunch of servers, took his guns. I guess he had legal guns. He had some weed. They took his weed. Um, and years later gets charged. But then this author, Sir Foxy, reaches out to William, and I think on Telegram, and they chat a little bit, and he gets some questions answered. Things like, "Are you still doing this?" And William
Yeah,
said, "Yes."
yeah,
He is in fact
sure.
still hosting not only exit nodes but also like services on the dark web, and claims that he's like very much gray hatting. It did feel a little bit on the darker side of gray hatting, just from the things that he says that he like knows he hosts.
Yeah, so grey
Um,
hacking is by the way, you have white hats
yeah,
who are the good guys, black
yes,
hats who are the bad guys.
right.
And grey hats are like, oh, somewhere in the middle, you know? I don't know. It seems a bit.
Gray hats are like, I'm gonna own your system without going through the proper channels. I'm gonna hack you and then I'm gonna tell you about it, but I'm also like, maybe I'll steal a little bit, or like,
Yeah,
like do some soft ransomware. Like, hey, I hacked you, but like, can you pay me
yeah,
in
yeah,
Bitcoin? But like, so it's a bit questionable where this man falls, but I mean, it seems like, I don't want to say he didn't learn his lesson, because it sounds like he did. He's just now doing it in a more protected way.
yeah.
Um,
So so the question was, if I could read this out, he said, "Would you do it again?" And he said, "Sure. I still run 3 gigabit of exits, but under an anonymous offshore company." Like,
right.
it's very nonchalant about this.
Very
Really,
nonchalant
like,
about it.
yeah,
Especially considering he's like, his identity is known, right? So like, he's out here saying this, but I guess he's flying between countries and moving servers between countries to kind of play a game of ping pong with authorities, where they
yeah.
can never really shut him down. And it
Well,
is interesting.
yeah. Also, he hosts his. He has a host called basehost.eu, which is a hosting company.
Yeah.
And I want to, if you go to basehost.eu, you'll get a page that is just saying, why host in Kosovo? Because it's hosted in
Yeah.
Kosovo. And it has quite a few, it's quite an interesting and really upfront thing. And just to read out a couple of things from it. A data center located in Kosovo is an excellent choice for hosting content censorship and government influence resistant, uh, regardless if legal in the operator's location or not.
Oh my god.
This is due to the fact that Kosovo is not recognized by many countries. Furthermore, the lack of recognition or even existence at all by many countries means that Kosovo is less susceptible to outside influence. And the bit that
Oh,
further,
that's right. Yes.
Further, as Kosovo is an extremely corrupt country, we were able to bribe both executive and judiciative, as well as getting information about court orders and raids before execution, enabling us to move servers out of the affected location, protecting our clients in any situation. Our excellent Serbian connections enabled us to also move servers cross-border and play ping pong
Right.
between both countries. Like, I mean, all right.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what you're, I mean, they know what they're pushing. And
Yeah.
I guess if you have the business cornered, if you have your niche demographic, at least you're being honest about it.
Yeah.
So
Very upfront.
very crazy. Good luck to William, I guess. And that's pretty much it for for today.
Yeah. So hopefully we will pick up the mic. What's a mic pun we
Yeah.
can make here?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, we'll pick the mic
Okay.
back up.
Yeah. Pick the mic back up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or not tomorrow, Monday. We'll see you on Monday.
right.